Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Reaching Riches. Just want to fill you guys in on the end of week recap of how they did. But first off, big news first is they did just announce their first dividend or distribution. Somebody in the Discord mentioned that they posted it, which is, I mean, it's a day early, but I'm glad they posted it because I wasn't really gonna make a for sure estimate on what they were gonna pay, but even if I did, it would have been off. So let's first look at QDTE. So they are distributing. Where is it? They posted it somewhere. Did I just go past? It, it was just here. Let me check. XDTE. It was just here. There it is. So this is XDTE. Really don't know where QDTE is, but yeah. So they're distributing 20 cents per share. So that's really good. They've only been out for about 2.5 weeks or so. So 20 cents for our first distribution is really good. So let's see. Let me try refreshing X or QDTE. There it is. All right. So here's QDTE. They are distributing 36 cents for this week, or for the upcoming week. Declaration date is the 25th. I mean, they did declare a day early. So your last day to get in is the 25th. So Monday. It goes X date on the 26th, and then it's going to be paying on the 28th. So what is that? 28th is Thursday. So you get paid on Thursday, 36 cents a share. So if you want this distribution, you better load up on Monday. Not financial advice, but if you did want to get in and get this dividend, you should load up on Monday. All right, so now let's head back into the spreadsheet and see how they did on all of their trades. So here's my tracker here. Let's just go over just what their long holds are, or the long calls. So they have NDX expiring on the about 2 years, March 21st, 2025. With a strike of 16.96. So this is the same strike they've held since inception, and they have 3 contracts of that. They also have an XND expiring in 3 months from now, so that June 2024, strike of 120, and they have 50 contracts for that. So what I've noticed that what they're doing with both QDTE and XDTE is that they want, or what it looks like, I can't confirm this, but what it looks like is that they want to hold NDX, which makes sense because there's higher premiums on NDX. It is a much larger product, but you get higher premiums on that. So what it looks like they're doing is they're trying to get as much NDX as possible, and then with whatever leftover cash that they have, they will go ahead and buy XND or some other smaller product that also tracks NASDAQ. So XND is the smaller version of NASDAQ, and which means it's cheaper, so that they can have more contracts. So once they get more funds into their ETF, then they'll start trading these out for NDX. All right, so let's just go over the big numbers. So on their first week, thank you, Corey, for providing me these data, because I did not collect it when they first started. But yeah, thank you for Corey for getting me this. So on their first week, they made $25,391. They collected $25,535. So they did have a small loss here. 143. Last week, I know I covered this already, but we're just gonna do a rundown since the spreadsheet has changed a lot since then. I have corrected some formulas. Corey also let me know that something was messed up, so I went ahead and fixed that. Alright, so last week they made 33,651 and they collected 33,889. This week was awesome. So they collected, or they made, what they made is premiums minus losses. So that's what they made right here is 44,410, and what they collected was 44,813. None of these distribution amounts or dividend per share is really going to be very helpful since they already announced it. QDTE was paying 36 cents, and none of these were really, I mean, I guess this week's was, but I'm not sure how they calculated up how much they're actually gonna distribute. So I'm just gonna have to wait and see. Maybe they have a percentage that they want to distribute. I did talk to Will Hershey, the CEO, and he said that they only are looking to distribute the premium collected. So anything from these long calls are gonna, like any gains that they make from the long calls is gonna stay within the fund. So that helps me understand this more, and lets me know like what they're gonna be distributing. All right, so let's get into the trades. So on Monday, the 18th, they did three contracts of NDX and 50 contracts of XND, which matches this. So I'm not really going to go too, I'm going to skip most of this part right here. Which we really want to know is like they sold 3 contracts for about $28 here, and they collected $8,000 here. So that's why the NDX is much larger product than the XND, so that's why you see only 35 cents for XND, and that's why they have to sell so much to actually really make much money off of it. So XND here 35 cents collected 17.50, and over here they the NDX opened up at 18,024, and then the XND opened at 180.24. So and they had a strike of 181 and 181.20, and it closed below the strikes. So green here just means that their strikes made money, and that the close was below the strike. So that's why it's green. So so they made full profit here. They get to close it out for 0. They just let it expire, and that's why here full profit is exactly what they sold it for. And this win is just, it's a calculation of if they won, it will say win, and if they lost, like here, we'll go over in a little bit, but if they lost but they still made a profit, so if they took a loss but the premium was still more than what they lost, it's still gonna mark it as a win. Alright, so like we'll go over here. So here they sold 3 contracts at $24.96 each, collecting $74.88, and over here they collected $800 on their XND. So the NASDAQ opened at 17,902, and they had a strike at 17,990, but it closed at 18,032. So they lost their strike, but it only cost them $126 to close it out. So to get that, you just take the strike minus what it closed at, and that's what it would cost to close the contracts. And so they still were in profit. So what they made was 73.61, and then on their XND they also lost this one, and it was only out of the money by 32 cents. So they really didn't have to close it for much, just $16 to close this one. So that's why they're still in a profit of $7.84. All right, and then Wednesday. So Wednesday, these premiums jump a lot. or much higher than before. So like if you look here, pretty much almost doubled this one, and then this one did double the previous days, and that's because it was I believe that was a Fed meeting, so volatility spikes, which means they get to collect more premium. So NDX they collected 13,326, and XND they collected 1,600. Now we'll go over here. It opened at 18,067, and it opened at 180. So you can see the strike on the NDX was 18,160, which is they usually sell it about half percent out of the money, as you can see here. So they weren't too far, but it did rally at the end of the day, and it closed above their strike. And same thing here, 182, and it closed above by 40 cents. So they did have to pay to close, not by much, because they got paid so much. So that's they took a win here. And Thursday, so another one. So look at the premiums drop because there's no more Fed meeting, volatility is down. So on the NDX they only collected $21.10, and the XND they collected 18 cents. So total it was 63.30 in premium and 900 in premium. And over here, so you'll see NDX open at 184.38, and XND open at pretty much the same thing, 184 and 38 cents. They had a strike of 18,510 and 18 or 185, and then it closed 18,320 and 183.20. So they took a win there and collected full profit. And Friday, last trade. So NDX they collected 1241, and over here looks like they were barely able to collect much, but they collected 8 cents. So total they collected 723 on NDX and $400 on XND. So the market opened at 182.93, and they had a strike of 18,390, and it closed at 18,339. So that means they made full profit again on their NDX, and then XND pretty much the same thing. They had a strike of 184, and it closed at 183.39. So full profit day again. So overall, every single day was a winner. They only had 2 days that their strikes lost, but overall they had winners. On my last video, Corey did mention that one of these formulas was messed up. It wasn't calculating right, or something was messed up. So I went ahead and corrected that. So they didn't. So correction for last week was they didn't lose. They didn't have a loss on this side. It was they had to pay to close, but they were still in a profit. So that's why this is looking different from last week's. So thank you, Corey, for that. And let's go over to XDTE over here. So throughout the week they did have XSPs, but today they finally converted it over to all SPXs. So that's where I actually learned that they're trading the smaller funds up to try to get more SPX. So you can see that here. So XSP, they had 5, and then another 5, another 5, another 5. Then they completely got rid of it here on Friday today. But yeah, so they have a SPX 420 strike at with 6 contracts. And let's go over the weeklies. So like again, thank you, Corey, for providing me the info on the first few days of trading. So this is what they made. Premiums are significantly lower on XDTE. I think that's just because volatility is not as much. So on their first few days of trading, this was, I believe, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So the first 3 days, they made $8.95, and they collected $8.98. Last week, they they made 34.92, and they collected 35.16. And then this week, they made 41.44, and they collected 42.45. All right, so like again, these are just way off. They declared 20 cents per share, and it's nowhere near where mine were at. So we're just going to see if they're trying to target a certain percentage to distribute, or if they're trying to distribute everything. But I mean, according to the numbers, this is what they made. So they maybe combine a few weeks just to get that 20-cent dividend out. All right, so let's go over the trade. So Monday they had 5 contracts, average price of 8 cents, and they collected a total of $40 here. And then they had SPX collected $3 per contract and collected 906 in premium. So the market opened at 5,154 for the SPX, and then 515.48 on the XSP. They had strikes of 51.85 and 519, and it closed below their strike, so that means they made full premium. So they won for Monday. So let's go to Tuesday. Again, this one, XSP, they only collected 1 penny. So I really don't know why they're trading that. I feel like that it's not even worth it. But they did collect $5 for that. Here they had a strike of 517, and it closed above their strike. So they did have to pay out some money for that. They paid out $4.25, which, so they made a profit of just 75 cents. So I mean, that's still a win. A win is a win. All right, so let's look at SPX. They had 3 contracts at $1.07, so they collected a total of $3.21. They had a open price of 51.39. They had a strike of 51.70, and it closed at 51.78. So they lost this one also. So they had to pay out $25.53, but they still made a profit of $295.47. So chalk that one up as a win too. So let's go to Wednesday. So Wednesday, like I said, is was a Fed meeting, so premium spiked. So here we can see XSP, instead of collecting 1 cent, they collected 67 cents. So that's amazing. So they collected a total of $3.35 in premium. It opened at 5.18, and they had a strike of 5.20. So only really $2 out of the money, or 30.35% out. And it closed at 5.22. So they lost this one by $2, and so they had to close this one for a loss of $12.03. But they still collected that $3.35. So net, they're still up $3.22. So that's chalked that one up as a win too. So on their SPX, they collected 1806 in premium, and if they lose on the XSP, they're pretty much losing on both of them, because their strikes are pretty much the same. So yeah, so they lost this one too. They had a strike of 5205, and it closed at 520 or 5224, but they still collected, or net, they were positive 1747. So chalk that one as a win too. And Thursday, premiums drop again, so they really only collected $10 on their XSP. So 2 cents per share, $10 in premium. XSP opened at 525. They had a strike of 528. Whoops, sorry about that. 528, and it closed at 524. So full profit again, so collected full $10. SPX, they had 3 contracts, average price of 72 cents, and they collected a total of $216. Open at 52.53, strike at 52.80, and it closed below their strike at 52.41. So full profit there again. So chalk that up as another win for the week. So 4 for 4. And Friday they finally traded out XSP for a full contract of SPX. So this is the only trade for the day. They sold 6 contracts at $1 and collected a total of $606. Price opened at 52.41. They had a strike at 52.65, which it closed below their strike at 52.34. So full profit again. So wins all across the board. So they haven't, I mean, they had some losing strikes, but they haven't lost in totality net. So they're doing great. So like these premiums are just amazing. So I'm just real surprised at how much they're actually paying out. That could drop because they've had 2.5 weeks of trading. So time will tell where they will equalize out, or if they're just gonna distribute everything. So I feel like they might do some type of managed distribution, because like they didn't really make too much, because it took them 2.5 weeks to make what 25 cents and distributing 20 cents. So I really don't know how they're coming up with that distribution. So I think I do have a theory on how these funds are going to stabilize their NAV, and it's through this long call. So Will Hershey did say that since these funds are not going to distribute out any of these gains from their long calls, I think whatever they make on this is what's going to stabilize the NAV. So since these are so deep in the money and the market generally trends up, these are just going to keep increasing in value. So in 2 years, I think it's relatively safe to say that SPX is probably going to be higher later on than it is now. So these are probably going to print money for them, and those gains are going to prop up the NAV. So that's just a theory. And since they don't hold the overnight exposure, their calls, or they can't really lose when the market gaps up overnight like crazy. So they won't be exposed to that type of risk. And so yeah, so I think that's how they're gonna stabilize their NAV. All right, so that's the recap on the RoundHill funds. If you liked the video, please hit like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And let me know what you guys think of the new distributions. All right.